Here we are with Patrick Mouratoglou and Steve Flink. I will start introducing Mouratoglou because, you know, Flink is an Hall of Famer. Everybody knows him in America, everywhere in every corner of the world. Patrick Mouratoglou is almost unknown, but I want to introduce you anyway. Well, I was told that 2 days ago, somebody celebrated his birthday and half a century. I'm sorry to announce you that. 50 years old. You look younger.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Of course, everyone knows that you have been coaching 100 players, very famous ones. Maybe the least famous is Serena Williams, that you have been coaching only since 8 years, 2012 June, if I'm not wrong. So 8 years in a row is almost a record, because I mean normally coach and players don't stay along together for a long time. And well, Patrick, you had of course Dimitrov. I think you had some relationship also with Coco Gauff, but I don't know exactly.
Of course.
Huh?
Of course. Coco is 10 years old, and Stefanos Tsitsipas also for many years now.
Yeah, and then Bagdatis. I mean, you haven't coached me or Flink, but it's okay.
That's the only thing that I will regret at the end of my career, but don't have regret.
Yeah, we couldn't afford to pay all the commissions you ask. You know, that's, I mean, you're too expensive for us. Listen, tell us about this new event, because we still don't know exactly. We read there are 9 players involved, but there will be a 10th player. Has it been announced, or you're going to announce it tonight?
There will be 10 players. I don't know, to be honest, when we're going to announce it, because it's not me, it's the our marketing who do that. So I don't know exactly, but there will be 10 players. It's going to be a completely different format from what we are used to see in tennis. I want to explain why. I think it's important to understand why. So just about the format. So the difference is it's showdowns. So which means that the 10 players are going to play against each other every weekend. So everybody will have played against everybody. Which is great, because if you love Berrettini, for example, not to name him, you're happy to see him play several matches. And if you lose this first match in a regular tournament, it's finished for him. But at UTS, you see him play 8 other matches minimum, and then a semifinal, possibly, and a final. First of all, it's a league, so it's not a tournament. UTS 1 is the first tournament of a league. Which a league like the ATP and the WTA, who's going to be taking place all year long. We play only on weekends, 5 matches every Saturday, 5 matches every Sunday, and only on weekends. So UTS 1 is going to last 5 weekends, and the last weekend we're going to have semifinal and final. Okay. Why do I do that? Why did I start a league? It's strange, right? Well,
yeah.
So, but it's not that strange. The real reason why is because I realized that tennis is potentially in trouble in the next years, because the fan base of tennis is getting older and older. It's the average age of a fan is 61 years old, and it grows. It's basically getting 1 year older every year. So in 10 years, it's going to be 71. 10 years ago, it was 51. So a fan base that is getting older is a fan base that potentially is going to disappear one day. And it just shows that tennis is just living on the fan base that was created in the 70s and the 80s. I'm one of them, by the way, and we're probably all some of. I fell in love in tennis in the 70s and the 80s, like most of the people, and we stayed because tennis is an incredible sport and it's addictive. So when you're a fan of tennis, you're a fan for life. But tennis is not renewing that fan base. Since the 80s, we're not getting new fans on board, and we just continue to live on our fan base who's getting older and older. That just shows that there is something that we need to solve. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. And I kind of looked at all the reasons why tennis was failing to renew its fan base. And I proposed something now, which is called UTS, which is a league that showcases tennis completely differently, with the goal to go and get new fans on board and be more attractive to younger people.
So we are left out. We are me and Steve Flink. We will not follow it.
That's not true. That's not true, because I think it can also be interesting for people who are tennis fans that can watch both. And I think my goal is that in the future there are two tours. There is one tour that is more traditional for the traditional fans of tennis, and one tour that is more modern for a different fan base. And of course, you can like both. You know, this happened in cricket, for example, and some people watch both.
Yeah, but can you play both? Let's say, I mean, if I am playing the ATP circuit, and and I lose on Monday or Tuesday, can I come and play Saturday and Sunday your ultimate showdown, or not? And you know, in WTA, if a player has to play on the circuit, if in the same week of a tournament someone plays something else, they are sanctioned. They have to pay fine. So what about men and ATP? Because right now you're talking about a men sort of event, correct?
For the moment, it's only men involved, but in the future there will be women. It's just that we didn't have enough time to make both. We had to make a choice, but I definitely want women to be involved in the future in UTS. So to answer your question, technically you're right. Like, players cannot play ATP and UTS the same week. But let's not go too further. We don't know what's going to happen. What we know is that this league is starting. We don't know when ATP is going to restart. Nobody has an idea. Let's make it a success. I hope it's going to be a success. I hope people will like it. I hope new fans will come on board. And if we're a success, we'll sit down with the ATP and WTA, which I already had, of course, more than contacts with. And
what was their reaction? What was their reaction when you talked to them, when you talked to ATP? What, they were afraid that you were going to build up a competitor as another circuit or something, or they, you know, how did they react?
You know that at the top of the ATP, it's only Italians, so they were very positive. No, but definitely we had the discussion, and I mean, they just said they're going to look at it, and I told them, you know what, I'm not trying to build a competitor at all. That's not my idea. I want it to be a success and bring new fans to tennis. If you want in the future to be under the umbrella of the ATP and the WTA, I'm fine with that. I'm not in a competitive idea at all. So we'll see. If it's a success, we'll find a way to make those two tours work together, work well. If it's not a success, out, forget about Mouratoglou, and we talk about something else.
Listen, tell us about the format, because, okay, we were told that the matches would last 1 hour, 5 times, what, 10 minutes? Or
12. 12, right? 12 minutes, Patrick. Is that right? 12-minute intervals?
I don't know. I don't know who gave this information, but we didn't communicate yet about the rules. We'll do it tomorrow night, so I don't want to say it now. I don't know who said that, but actually,
well, we read that. Well, you may not say about 12 minutes or 5 or how many times. But at least give us an idea, because if not, we talk about scores and we don't know if it starts at 4-all, if there is a tiebreaker. We know nothing. I mean, please. I mean, I've been chasing you since 1 month, and you have been postponing every other day to a different moment. So now that I finally grab you, I'm Italian. You know that I have connection with mafia, Camorra, and all this. So I am, I'm threatening you. So you have to tell us at least something new that is not around. Then tomorrow you will say more and more and more. But at least give us an idea, because if not, what I'm going to say to our listeners.
So what I can tell you is that tomorrow at 7 we have the press conference, and I'm gonna give the rules. I'd love you to be a part of it, and then you can record it and you can have all the rules and details. I'm just going to tell the global idea. The global idea is what? It's first that tennis is adapted to the way people consume videos nowadays and consume sports. People are not sitting for 3 hours. This is not happening. So when you are an old fan like me, you sit down for 3 hours to watch tennis. When you are 15 or 20 years old or even 25, you're not going to sit down for 3 hours for a tennis match. So we're thinking about having a different format that is shorter, that is much more dynamic, with much more emotions and much more things happening. Because also, if I would describe tennis today, I think it's a marathon, a tennis match, and at UTS, it's more like a sprint. And that's the whole idea about it. You can, if you have less time, you can watch a full match at UTS. Dynamic, a lot of things happening, a lot of surprises, a lot of emotion, much more than what we have now. You know, there are 2-3 things that to me are the reasons why tennis is not able to renew its fan base. The first problem is there is much less diversity than before, much less. If you look at the 80s, you had serve and volley, you had different game styles. Tennis got rid of all that. You don't have any more McEnroe, Borg, or Sampras Agassi. This disappeared, and this is a big loss, I think. Second, tennis got rid of the young players. So they're still young, but they're not winning Grand Slams anymore because of rules that prevent them from winning Grand Slams. When you had a Hingis, Martina Hingis, or Capriati, or Tracy Austin at 15 playing a Grand Slam final against an old player, it was so exciting. You don't have this anymore. And then same with personalities, you know, like tennis has polished the personalities. So you don't have these extreme people like before, and different personalities, very different, like a McEnroe, a Connors, a Panatta, and a Bjorn Borg. So different. They're all completely different. And that's fun. Now they all say the same things, do the same things. So this affects a lot the game. So all those things I want to change. In UTS, it's going to be different. The code of conduct will be lighter for sure.
They can scream, shout, and break a racket. Yes, can you break a racket or not?
Listen, that's an extreme way to say it. What I want is diversity. I want different kind of behaviors. I want a Kyrgios and I want a Bjorn Borg, because that's two extremes, and that's great. If everybody's behaving like Kyrgios, it's boring. If everybody behaves like Borg, it's boring. So you need diversity. So I'm going to put a code of conduct that gives the possibility to all kind of behaviors. I have the code of conduct here. I have it here.
All right.
33 pages. Listen to me. Listen, 33 pages. Can you believe it? No, it's 33 pages. It's a joke. You cannot move with your finger. I mean, there has to be a space for liberty where people can express themselves. I mean, at home, you do what you want. In the street, you do what you want. Of course, there are rules. You cannot kill someone. It's fine. It's normal. But at least there is a space when you can express yourself. It should be the same on a tennis court.
Listen, I have the impression that you also think that the future, since the boys and the girls, the teenagers are always on the phone and not as much on TV, that more than the official TV, you will follow the idea of telephones and tablets or cellular phones. Is that correct or not? Because one thing that leaves me perplexed is that to watch a tennis match on a telephone is quite difficult, especially on clay where you almost don't see the ball. How do you face that?
I think there are two options. You can criticize how the young people or people are consuming videos and sports, or you can adapt. There are two options. So I decided to adapt and to propose something that on the paper at least will be exciting for them. I think you can watch tennis I watch tennis on my telephone quite often because I can't have a TV or have my computer. And I think that most of the people are watching most of the things, most of the videos today on the phone. So you have to adapt. If you want to have success, you have to adapt to the way people consume videos. We know that the average time spent on a video on Facebook is 8 seconds. That's a fact. That's how it is. So we know that all the TV shows and all the movies are made with short sequences of 20 seconds because otherwise they lose the people. So explaining to young people that they have to sit down for 3 hours, where sometimes for 20 minutes nothing's happening, it's just not going to work. It's not working. So I have the goal to propose something that is tennis, because it is tennis. Actually, it's tennis players who are going to play, so it's tennis. But it's adapted to the world we live in, first. And second, I try also to take the best from the 80s that we lost, and that I think was making tennis so exciting in the 80s. So that's what UTS is.
Steve, react to this young guy.
Just a mild disagreement, Patrick. I do believe that Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal are three very different people, all fascinating, all bright, play differently. So I do disagree with you slightly on that. But what I really want to know is your feeling about maintaining the player. It's great that you're getting this off the ground and you're going to have 10 guys, and tennis is going through a difficult time with the pandemic, and we don't know if there'll be any ATP or WTA tours this year. Maybe the whole year is shot. But so how do you keep the momentum if you get this off the ground nicely now, so that in the future, when the tours are back, that you sustain the interest of these players and wanting to? Right now it's a novelty, but how do you keep them as immersed in it as they might be short term in the long term?
Well, that's a great point. And that's all about delivering a really quality product. So the players have to love it once they experience it. And also the fans have to love it. And we have to be able to bring a lot of fans on board. If we do, we'll be in a good also position to discuss with the ATP, the WTA, that will also be excited to have someone who brings, it's not someone, but a tour that brings new fans on board. I think for the whole tennis industry, it's great. For the future of tennis, it's great. And we'll find a solution all together. Again, I'm not against anybody, and not at all. That's definitely not my attitude. I'm trying to find a solution for the future of tennis. It's my passion since I'm 4 years old. It's also my industry, and I want it to be successful. It is successful, but I want it to continue to be successful for the future. So we'll find a solution all together. We'll sit down and try to find a solution. But you know what? To be honest, nobody knows what the tennis is going to look like in the future post COVID-19. We don't know when we're going to play again. We don't know which tournaments are going to survive, which ones are not going to survive. We don't know even how a tournament is going to look like. Will players be able to travel as much as they used to? Will we have a crowd authorized or not? We don't have the answers to those questions. So it's a very troubled time. It gives us the possibility to have a window to showcase tennis differently, and we do it. If it's a success, we'll, again, with a very positive mind, try to find a solution to continue with the ATP and with the WTA. And there is a space for different formats, for sure. It happened in many sports in the past. Cricket was the last one, by the way. And if it doesn't work, then we disappear, and that's it.
But the other thing I wanted to know is how difficult was it to come up with this concept with the 10, with everybody playing everybody? As you know, round robins that have been played thus far in the ATP finals, and historically you've had 2 groups of 4, and you might get in a preferable group and you might not, and you're not necessarily, that's how it's going to play out. Semifinals, two out of each group. This is a very different way of looking at it, and a very interesting one. How long did it take you to come up with this concept?
Maybe a week. This is exactly what we did. We thought, okay, if we had to create tennis today, knowing everything we know and being in our century, we like to, taking into consideration how people consume videos and stuff like that, what would we do? Let's start with a white page and write it down, write a new story. And that's exactly the attitude we had. And that's why it's so different. And you'll see tomorrow evening when we'll announce, it's really different, but I think it's really fun. I think it's very dynamic. I think there will be so much more emotion. I think it's adapted to the way people live today. So easy to consume, fast. And I think the players will love it. That's what I think. because it's going to be more fun for them. It's not a marathon anymore. So I think it's very. But again, I'm very open. I'm not saying that we are right. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's not the right way, and maybe we'll have to adapt. And we're going to listen to all the feedbacks from the players, from the fans, from you guys, from the TVs, also the broadcasters. For me, it's a global effort to find a new format for the future of tennis. And what I'm saying is not only true for tennis; it's true for sports in general. Because all sports are getting older, the fan bases, they're all getting older. Just tennis much more than other sports and much older. But it's a global, because you know what, when you have fans for so many years, and I know it's difficult, I guess it's difficult for ATP and WTA to change anything, because in those traditional sports, when you have so many fans for so long, fans don't like change. So they would be against it. So it's difficult to change anything. But if you don't adapt to the new world, young people are not getting in, and they're getting into e-sport, they're getting into other sports that are more appealing for other reasons, and it's people that we're losing and we're not getting. So we have to find a solution. Maybe UTS will not be, I hope it will be the solution. If not, we have to find something else, but we have to find something.
Listen, Patrick, in tennis, in the past, at least until today, endurance was an important factor. I mean, players who were capable to win, coming back, being 2 sets down. Okay, I understand that 3 hours for you and for the young maybe are too many. But I mean, to evaluate the strength, the power of an athlete, you had also to consider how strong they were, how able they were to, again, come back and maybe play, I don't say 5 hours, but I mean, at least now, apparently, these players will have to play 1 hour. And that is not an extreme.
Well, you are pointing out that tennis has become extremely physical, which is true. And if you look at the top 3 players, they're the 3 most physical guys on tour. I'm talking about Rafa, Novak, and Dominic Thiem. They're probably the 3 that have the most endurance and that practice the most. It's a way to see it. I think that UTS will highlight different qualities. You are right, not the same ones. They will be maybe less high. Yeah. I mean, if you are a very physical player in a way that you're able to play for 20 hours without being tired, maybe you're not a UTS player, but it's great. You can play ATP. I think there is a space for everyone, but you are right. UTS will not highlight too much this part. But if you are faster, if you are more stronger mentally, if you are very good tactically, because you'll see that there is a huge tactical level at UTS, then you can be a great UTS players. I don't know if the top 100 players were playing UTS. I'm not sure that number 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6 would be the same. Maybe not. And what's the problem with that? It highlights different qualities. To come back to what Steve said, he disagrees with me, which is fine. He's totally right. Disagree with me, no problem. You're right. Of course, Novak, Rafa, and Roger have completely different personalities. You're right. But I'm just saying that in tennis, it has become a competition to be the most politically correct, the nicest, the most sportsmanship. Now they hug each other, and it's unauthentic, and I don't like it. This is my opinion, and I'm not scared to say it. I don't like unauthenticity. I love authenticity, and I'm not blaming those 3. It's general, except a few guys. And I think it affects tennis because we don't really see the personalities, because they're all so nice, so polite, so everything, which is, again, as well as me, that's what they say in front of the press and when they're on TV. But I don't think it's interesting. I think we are interesting as humans because we're not perfect. We are different. We all have a great side and a darker side. And I think that's what's interesting about human beings. If we show clones, I don't think it's interesting. That's what I'm saying. And you're right also, that have different games. Of course, they have different games. They have different shots. But again, nowadays there is a prototype of player who's successful, which is the Rafa, Novak, Andy Murray, Medvedev, Dominic Thiem, which are players who are counterpuncher, able to play for hours, playing from the baseline 90% of the time. And this has become the way to be extremely successful in tennis, where before you had much more variety. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
But of course, Patrick, sorry to interrupt, but your young man that you worked with, Mr. Stefanos, is certainly not cut from the same mold you just described with the other top players. Would you agree?
100%. That's why I like him so much, and that's why I'm excited. And believe it or not, I've seen millions of hours of tennis in my life, and when I get on court with Stefanos, I'm so excited to watch him play. I think it's unbelievable. I love how he plays because it's different. And again, we want variety. We want diversity. This is why life is exciting. Different personalities, very different styles of games, young ones, old ones. We need that. That's what I'm complaining about. We don't have this enough in tennis.
Have you talked to the players before you, let's say, hire them and before you ask them to come and play? What was their reaction? I don't know how much money you had to pay for. I'm sure you're not going to tell it, not even tomorrow night at 7. So you will not tell us. But let's say, I mean, also they are probably traditional players, even if the young ones. I mean, they learned the score 15, 30, 45. They may not understood immediately how it came out, but I mean, how did you persuade them, and how do you expect them to play on Saturday? Berrettini, I think, is playing first match. You at least the schedule. I hope you know it. You don't want even to announce the schedule. I mean, please. Be prepared, be professional.
No, but you're trying hard, which I appreciate.
So what I'm saying is, I mean, how they can start playing a tennis match without knowing the rules? I mean, have they the chance to practice and say, okay, Saturday you start playing at what time? Do you know the time of the start, or you don't even know that?
Me, I don't know, but they know. So can I answer a question, or?
So they start, and they don't know if they have one serve, two serves, if they, I don't know if the ball hits the net, what's going on. I mean, how can they play? How can be serious?
Okay, can I answer your question, or you want to keep talking? Okay. So, of course, you are so right. So before I hired them, as you say, before they signed in, I asked them to have 30 minutes individual discussion with each of them. And I explained to them why I'm doing that, what's the idea, what's the philosophy, and what are the rules. And I told them, listen, if you're not extremely excited about it, it's no problem. I can understand, but I prefer if you don't play. I will take somebody else, because I want players to really like it, enjoy it, play with this format with fun, enjoying it. And surprisingly, Ubaldo, they liked it and they signed in. And they're here, most of them already since Monday, playing UTS formats every day to get used to it. So they'll be ready for next Saturday. Did I answer your question?
This is the answer. This is the answer. I'm sure you're not going to tell me which players didn't told you that they didn't like to play. I mean,
honestly, after this discussion, I didn't have anybody who said no. After I explained the rules, nobody. One player told me no before I explained everything, because two or three, sorry, because mostly because they felt they were zero ready to play a match because of the confinement and they couldn't practice and they did nothing. And they said, no, it's too early. Maybe for UTS 2, which will start just after UTS 1, but not for UTS 1. But they liked it, yeah.
Did you have a chance to talk to Serena about this?
Of course.
Tell me the reaction. I mean, don't tell me that he's going to say it in the press conference. I want to know it now, because she's not part of the event. So you can be for once completely, open. Come on.
I'm never open. I'm unauthentic, and I'm politically correct. Everybody knows that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's my answer. So before I started, when I had this idea and I decided to start it, I called her and I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And first of all, she's always super supportive to what I'm doing, which is extremely nice. But we have a very good relationship, so she's supporting. She said, you have to involve women. I said, yeah, but I don't have time to involve women for UTS1. I'll do it later. She said, no, you have to involve women at UTS1. Okay. And then she gave me some great ideas, actually, of rules. And that I added because they were amazing.
Tell me one. Come on, tell me that. You don't want to tell me not even that. You're really, I sent you the mafia friends of mine to you. Anyway, well, okay. Honestly, what did she tell you? Something apart from saying, okay, I like it. Whatever.
You know what the first sentence she said to me?
Yeah.
You have such an entrepreneur state of mind. It's unbelievable. That's the first thing she said to me. And then, no, she said it looks fun. It looks amazing. And then she gave me some more advice. So she was into it. Like when someone starts to have ideas about other rules or things I should do with my formats, it means that she's buying it, So for me, she's in. She likes it.
Is it closed doors? That we don't even know that. Yes. So nobody can come and watch.
No, not even you. Even if you come with the mafia.
I thought you sent me an invitation. I thought you had sent me an invitation. I was ready to accept. No. Okay.
No, even if you come with the mafia, you're out.
Anyway, so okay. You say it's a financial big effort, or right now is still not as big as financially, economically is a big investment, the one you're making, or right now is just sort of, try?
So we have top 10 players. We have 2 top 25. We are the production of the format is the same quality of production as a Grand Slam. We're launching an OTT platform when you will see all the matches, all the replays, all the interviews of the players. We have a TV show before the matches, between the matches, after the matches. We have we're going to show.
Sorry, interrupt you. You talk about interviews to the players. Who is going to ask any question if there is no press?
No, there is no press, but we have our own team on site. We have a TV show. So the players, right after the match, the winner is going to go to the set, and we're going to ask questions. We have a team there. We're just not allowed to bring the press because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So otherwise, of course, you'll be the first one to be here. But yeah. So I'm just saying, you can imagine that the investment is not small, but when you want to reinvent tennis and create the tennis of your future and create a league and enroll the best players, it's not cheap. But you have to know what you want in life.
Well, unless the players are sort of partners of the initiative. Did you ask?
That would be another option.
Did you ask Tsitsipas if he trusts you to become an entrepreneur him too, with his father?
We'll see.
Steve, Steve, what do you want to know?
Can I ask one Serena question, Patrick?
Sure.
If I may, I know you said that she's really probably supremely motivated now to come back, and obviously she'd love to get that Grand Slam title record, and we all know that. What do you think, as you look back on 18 and 19, it was a great achievement to get to the 4 finals, but she didn't win a set. It was 4 different players. Is she almost trying too hard when she used to be? It was so automatic with Serena in the major finals. She was one of the great big match players in the history of the women's game. But that was really surprising to see 4 different opponents, different styles, Wimbledon, US Open tournaments she's dominated, to lose all 4. What did you take away from those that you think she could change in the coming year if we get back to playing the majors?
I agree with you with the analysis. She can. I mean, so it was a tremendous effort to come back to that level, be able to play four Grand Slam finals after being a mother and being a mother at 37 years old, which is not the same, obviously, than if it happens to you when you're 27. So I mean, she's worked like I've never seen someone work hard like that. It was incredible. Her motivation is incredibly high, and the disappointment is as big as the motivation when you lose those finals. And this way also, um, I don't know if putting too much effort is the word. I would say I think it's normal that the pressure is at a peak that she has never reached before, because simply she's playing one match for history. And I think that's the greatest pressure that anyone in any sport can experience, to play one match for history. How important that is. It's crazy important. And I think that it highlighted when the pressure is too big for you at some point, it highlights also your weaknesses. And I mean, we could see that physically she was not back 100%. That was not obvious on the other matches. When the pressure was on, that was more. Um, and also I think she was also unlucky, because all the four Grand Slams she played a player who had nothing to lose and who played the best match of her life in the four times.
True.
So
True.
when you're under pressure, you don't play well, you feel nervous, and you're unable to play your best tennis, you might still have a chance to come back. But if the other one plays the match of her life, then you don't. And I think that's what happened also. So
which one is the biggest? Which one is the biggest regret of the four of them? The best chances.
when you don't win a set, you cannot regret anything. You're just not unable to play your level, and in a way you don't deserve to win.
Sure.
And again, the opponent in all four finals they all played incredible. They all played.
Do you think that was particularly true of Halep, Patrick? That struck me as was the match of her career.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know that Halep never thought she would ever win Wimbledon in her life. So she had no expectation, which is the ideal situation to have no pressure. If she loses to Serena in a final of Wimbledon on grass,
it's normal.
Completely
right.
So zero pressure, and she lost to Serena so many times in the past. So zero pressure, and probably the start of the match, she felt Serena was like really nervous, and she was extremely nervous. I think one of the match she was the most nervous. This one, she hit a few shots like almost under the net, where the ball didn't go out of the racket at all, and I think that Simona was feeling so free. All the shots were great. She was moving fantastically well, and then she hit a few great shots on difficult moments, and then you feel like we all had that feeling one day in a match. So it's tennis match you play, you have two people on the field. So whenever you're very nervous and you have zero chance on the other side, it's difficult. She has to. I mean, what we take from that is that we have to find a way to come to the matches with more. How can I say that? Less expectation. I think it's impossible, because when you play a match for history, you play a match for history. But you have to find a way to loosen up more. If you can't loosen up at all, then you cannot play your best. You cannot play your tennis, and then you have no chance. At that level, you have no chance. So it's new. It's a new situation that she faces. Never happened in her life, in her career, to be in that situation. But it's also explained by the fact that she has never experienced, and actually nobody has ever experienced, that much pressure in a sport that you play one match to beat the record of the history of all times. It's like extremely special.
Listen, 1 year stop, because of the COVID. Is it a big handicap for someone who is 37 or 38, or like Federer, like she is? Or maybe it maybe gives a 1 year of, in a way, rest, in a way, and is it a big disadvantage, or could be also an advantage?
I think it was good for her, because she could rest. Her body needed to rest. She had her knee needed to rest. So I think her body is super rested now, and she could take the needed time. When you have tournaments, sometimes you don't take the time that you should take. So I think it was good for her. And you know, the top players need less time to come back to a great level. They don't need that much competition. We've seen that with Roger a few times. This Australian that he won, the last one, you know, he was out for 6 months and he came back and won straight away, which is something other players can do. So I think it's almost an advantage for the older ones.
Because they can take advantage of their experience and their attitude to come back quicker.
Somebody's doing this to me, so I think I have to stop because I have another one now.
You're not the boss.
No,
someone
no.
Huh?
You are the boss.
Listen, okay. Listen, I want to thank you a lot, but you must make me a promise, which is, since you haven't told me anything about the rules, anything about the format, anything about, I don't know, everything. I will ask my readers and listeners to watch the events and to buy what you have to buy to see the streaming, okay?
I think you can afford 12 euros, I think.
Okay, 12 euros. It's not so small money, because you know, if you want to, what is the tennis? What is the one of the ATP or a Eurosport? I mean, the money is not that small. But
tennis TV is more expensive, and it's for our platform. 100% sure. For our power platform, it's less than 0.20 euros per match. So it's 20 cents per match, and you have all the replays, you have all the interviews. I mean, it's 12 euros is not nothing, I know, but it's not crazy expensive. You can afford.
Anyway, the promise that I'm asking you is that next week, whichever day, you tell me, because we will be able to discuss what happened. I mean, you have to find the 30 minutes. I'm not going to ask you more. 30, maybe 20. Okay, 20 if you want. That you tell me what was everything. I mean, are you going to give me this promise or not?
What do you want to know?
Well, next week, you tell me that you give me 20 minutes of your time next week to discuss what happened and to see the reactions, what the players said.
It should be fine. You just have to ask Max because he's the boss. But yeah, it should be fine. I don't know why I wouldn't do it.
Okay, I don't know why either.
So I'll do it probably. I have to go.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Patrick. And of course, good luck. Happy birthday again for your 50th birthday. You look younger. And see you soon. Enjoy the weekend.
Grazie mille. Arrivederci.
Ciao, caro.
Bye.
Bye.
Stop.